Gendermess Productions and GINAVA'S Messy Friends would like to acknowledge that this show was recorded on Whadjuk Noongar Boodjar.
Fascinating.
Yeah, girl.
A douching dildo.
Darling. Douching dildo, darling.
Please welcome to the stage, Douching Dildo.
Darling.
Your camp. You ready to get started?
I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Let's do it. Okay, so... Okay, now I got my intro.
Welcome to our house. Make yourself further. Add your favorite song.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of GINAVA'S Messy Friends. My name is Geneva, and I am so excited to be sharing this episode with you. I was laughing so hard trying to edit this thing together. I cannot wait for you to hear it. I cannot wait. So my guest is Skye Scraper. She's a very, very tall human being, and she's probably one of the nicest people I know. She is, like Mary Lamb of God, another one of the most campiest people I've ever met. And she's probably one of the messiest of my messy friends that I have. And when you watch this episode, I think you'll understand exactly what I mean. In this episode, we talk about her being an accountant by day and drag queen by night, her time entering the Crown of the Court competition. We get a glimpse into her solo show. And we also talk about the usage of booger sugar and having after grog bogs. Anyway, darling, here is Skye Scraper. Hello everyone, my name is Geneva. I have some messy friends I'd like you to meet. Skye Scraper.
Hey, darling. How are you?
Fabulous, how are you going?
I'm actually quite camp today.
You're always camp.
Thank you,
You're
darling.
always camp.
Thank you so much.
You're serving like, just back from the country club realness.
I actually have just come back from the country club. We've played some golf, darling. We've had a good time.
Did you actually?
Me and Julie Bishop. Out there.
How tight are you?
Oh, girl.
not at all, I heard.
I'm below par, actually, darling. I'm below par.
Ooh. Okay, so I guess first question I have for you. How did we meet? It was like through the fringe circuit, I guess.
Yeah, I think I saw you at Connections one night, and you were not in drag, and I was some overly confident 18-year-old twink when I was a twink, and I came up to you and I said,
Wait, was?
"Yeah, when I was." Do you think I'm a twink now?
Sorry, continue.
I just think I'm too old. I mean, at the young age of 27, you can't. I don't.
Fuck off!
I
Anyway,
came
yes.
up to you and I just remember coming up to you drunk and being like, "I know who you are, and one day we're gonna work together." And you were like, "Who the fuck is
I was like,
this?"
okay,
girl. Okay.
okay.
You just looked at me. You nodded. You took us to your drink. And you walked off.
So that was like 2017, I'm guessing? No.
That was a good decade ago. Oh, 9 years ago. So it would have been 2000.
Oh, really? That
2013.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when I saw you first. Our initial interaction. But then later on, I think it was maybe Drag Factory one night.
Yeah.
I think you did Yoko Ono screaming. And I did the theme from The Nanny.
That was yeah. Because like when I first noticed you hadn't really started drag like fully with the intention of like, you know, career aspirations yet.
We're just cross-dressing for fun. And
Yeah.
cash.
Yes. Yeah. And then I saw you look like a black and white Dallas Delaforce.
Oh, yeah. Dallas was a huge drag inspiration of mine from the very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like walking down the street and you basically had like, you know, the skin tight dress and the hip pad. Wait, were you wearing pads then?
No,
Probably
I
not.
think I just had a curvaceous body.
Yeah.
Perhaps. No, I didn't.
No, absolutely not.
Perhaps it was just a corset that I had like...
Probably, yeah. And then
killing
you had
myself
like
with.
the big brim, black hat, and then it was like, because you used to paint your face like a baseball.
Yeah, the baseball face. Yeah.
The baseball face. It was like just...
Well, not deliberately, but that's just how people would clock me. Yeah.
It's like, it was like stitching. It's just... What was it?
It was a layer of white.
So yeah.
Powder, another layer of white, powder, and then because I didn't want to block my brows, I just went in with black over my brows, and then just created whatever like huge cat-like shape I had, and then that would be my eyes, and then I'd put a bit of Jeffree Star's black highlighter as my contour, right? And I would put 3 contours all the way down, and these lips with like 2 peaks where the cherry bits are, and that's my face.
But then you had the.
Oh, that's when I shaved my head.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh yes.
yeah.
Yes. Because you shaved it, and then you. But the lines. I swear you had like it was like a line somewhere, and then it was like
The checkers, yeah,
like
yeah.
crosses. So it just looked like the baseball stitching.
Yeah.
And with the shaved head, it didn't really.
I think I had every intention to the back of my head.
But I will say there was a pivotal moment where I knew we were going to be good friends. So I'd just done Mache Home 2017. And then I was at Prism's house talking about, oh yeah, maybe I don't know if I want to do Mache again, because it was just such a headache trying to get the cast together and the registrations and the fees and like I was not as gung-ho about it at the time. And because like doing Mache Home, it was like last minute everything, you know. And then I remember when I was having this conversation, you were there and you're like, no, it can happen. You can do this.
Yeah.
And then from that, we basically all created Mache XL and then got another cabaret nomination. So cheers for that.
Cheers, girl. No, I think everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, and clearly your strength is this creativity and this unique artistic flair. And it just so happens that my day job is an accountant, and budgets and stuff. So that's sort of my second nature. So if I can bring that to the production team, I'm more than happy to. And
Absolutely. What I didn't realize when doing the Fringe producing, like 50% of your time is performing and creating, and the other half is basically you being a businesswoman trying to
a businesswoman, darling,
more mana, just trying to like budget, market,
hustle. Yeah,
you're basically your own agent, PR assistant.
Yeah.
Choreographer, music producer, blah, 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 blah.
There's so much to it that's like just the application itself, and then also there's the stuff around the sides, like the networking and the opportunities you can get from chatting to people and just being a cool kid in the town.
So, how is it that you're able to talk the leg off a chair?
Oh, girl. I've always had this like crazy untapped amount of confidence, or tapped amount of confidence.
Pretty tapped, yes.
Yeah, pretty tapped confidence. The thing is, if I do a line of booger sugar, nothing changes there. Honey, I can't feel it. Everyone's like, wow, let's go. And I'm like, I didn't feel a thing. Like, I feel so...
You can't say booger sugar.
What else am I to say? I'm not going to say. I mean,
oh my god. Is that the clip we're going to use? It might be.
But to my detriment, I'm just like, yeah, girl, it should happen this way because it's my fantasy and it'll happen this way. And I'm just like, I just positively visualize myself having a fantastic conversation with absolutely everybody. And I walk in there and it happens.
Yep.
And that's what I think is happening. Meanwhile, that person's trying to walk away as fast as they can sometimes.
Yeah. It's like, I remember the moment where I realized, oh, you actually can really fucking... It was the closing night of Fringe.
Oh, yeah.
Of 2018.
Oh.
And we did the Messes takeover.
Oh, yeah. And was that the night that Donna was in the emergency room?
Wait, Donna was in the... What?
Yeah, girl. So Donna fell off a chair, cut her foot open.
Oh, no, it was that night. Yes.
And then we took it to the emergency room.
Pretty sure it was.
Old drag royalty Champagne, who was Barbecue's drag mother, was at the emergency room, and she admitted us. No, it's cat.
Yeah, because she had she had flip-flops on. And where the venue was, it was like the scaffolding steps.
Yeah.
And then I think like she'd like lost her thong or something and then just like... And I remember she had to do all of her like barefoot numbers with like, we had to find a pair of socks from the convenience store.
Yeah.
And it was really like, just like white patchwork, like golfing socks.
Yeah. And this like red patch that's growing.
Yeah, just like the red patch of blood just growing on the sock.
Why is the ground wet? Oh, Donna's bleeding out, girl.
But anyway, that night
It was fitting because she did a number, The Greatest Love of All, where she was giving birth on stage.
Yeah.
So it was sort of, you know, I mean, there could be blood on the stage because of that number. Yeah.
and she could have been wearing socks.
she could have been wearing something. Exactly, yeah.
But anyway, so you were at Budgie Smuggler doing the Messy Friends. Keep saying Messy Friends. The Messes takeover. I came over to you and I'm like, oh, hey. And then you're like, oh, hi, Ginny.
darling.
So, hi, darling. I'm talking to Justin. And Justin is working for Fringe. And, you know, I've just, invited him over for a roast beef dinner. Oh, no, it wasn't beef. It was lamb.
It was lamb shoulder, darling. It was
Lamb shoulder.
Yeah.
With lamb shoulder with gravy and mint jelly.
That's the tea, love. Yeah.
It was like the epiphany moment of like, you know, the importance of really using those spaces, networking, chatting to everyone. And then it was the conversations that we were all having afterwards at your house where it was kind of like we got tea on
So much stuff.
certain people and certain things and opinions. And it's kind of like, this is the shit that it's like, that's the important shit you need to know.
Yeah, because you don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know, someone else knows. So
Yeah.
let's have a chat to someone else and see what see what the tea is.
So from when you started drag back then, so basically when you were in the swing of that for 2018,
Yeah.
and then drag kind of fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah, I had a hiatus.
Yeah.
I had quit drag at that point. Yeah.
And then there was a point basically in the last few months,
Year to 8. Yep.
like you bought a new house or apartment and you've kind of slotted back in very nicely.
Things started turning around. Yeah, well, I, was doing drag, and it was kind of like the style of drag where I didn't want to glue my brows down, so, I would draw over the top. And I was just trying to find any kind of shortcut. I wasn't really committing to it. Like, I would try and do numbers. I would just try as many shortcuts as I could. Because I was so time poor, I didn't have my life in a stable place. So you're working full time as an accountant. Then I started my postgrad degree as well, and then I was doing drag. And I was at that point where I was getting like more and more kind of like regular professional gigs, and I failed a degree in my postgrad. I was underperforming at work, and I wasn't like rocking up to gigs, performing well. So I thought something in my life has to go. So that's when drag unfortunately like sort of fell away. COVID then happened and everyone stopped drag for a bit. But then when we came back, like I had focused that time on saving a deposit for at the place that I bought, and then was able to get a fun job in philanthropy, so helping save the world, and just be a little bit more stable, have some clarity in life, and really understand my priorities. So with that stability, I was like, great, let's give drag a red hot go again. And just approach things in more of a centered, prepared way, with a bit more strategy rather than like the night of the gig. Shit, what am I gonna do?
Right.
So then I started approaching drag a little bit differently, and I think slotting back in. I'm now drawing eyebrows on instead of sticking lace front brows.
It's from when you were doing it back in like however many years ago to now. Have you noticed, what has been the one thing you've noticed about the difference between back then to you doing drag now? In terms of the Skye Scraper, 3 years ago to Skye Scraper now?
Yeah. I think the Skye Scraper 3 years ago really wanted shock value. Like I really wanted to either make people feel uncomfortable or just like I wanted them to react a lot. Not necessarily about improving the product that I was providing on stage. Whether it was makeup, choreography, or whatever. I just wanted to get the hit moment. But now I sort of think about things in more of a structured way. Like let's diagnose this outfit. Is this outfit of the time? Let's think about the makeup and what I can do differently. And I need to learn how to do this skill so I can. So I think it's more thoughtful and considered. And then when I also have that preparedness, I'm able to then give myself the time to think creatively. Ideas ping around my mind around current cultural references and how can that weave into what I'm doing. For example, I did Crown of the Court recently, and one of the numbers or the categories they gave us was the year that you're born. And I thought, one of the songs from that year was Bjork, It's Oh So Quiet. And I told some drag queens that I'm doing Bjork's It's Oh So Quiet. And Liberty Genre said to me, and what's your concept for the number? And I was like, shit, I don't have a concept. So I was like stressing about it. A few ideas that came into my mind. I was scrolling through YouTube and stuff, and then it all sort of worked out that I was going to have this gorilla appear on stage, and we're being oh so quiet because we don't want to wake the gorilla up. But we actually do wake the gorilla up because we're in love with him, and then we didn't want to put the gorilla back to sleep, so we put some chloroform on him and and knock him out. Then we hit him over the head, and then and then in the last moment, we wake him up saying, babe, would you still love me if I was a worm? And then we kill him at the end, and it's just a beautiful, blissful moment about love in the current day millennial dating market,
It's just like, why?
Oh, because we can, darling. Because we can. Because it works.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it.
Don't ask me why it works.
I want to talk about Crown of the Court because,
Oh, yeah.
for fuck's sake, it was like, I think a lot of us, including myself, we remember Skye Scraper in a particular way.
Oh, tell me the particular way you remember. Look.
And don't take offense to this, but the last thing I remember you doing in drag was you wearing the black and gold runway category for Drag Nation. It was just a black and gold splatter paint catsuit with alien body proportions that even Lee Bowery would be like, yeah, too far. I got the video of it. I can probably put it up here.
Yeah, get the video.
It's you just
crawling on stage with this sequined head wrap as well. And it was some Beyonce song, and
yeah, it was Crazy in Love from our Runway song.
And I remember posting it on Facebook, being like, if you're ever wondering how my drag's doing.
And look what it's doing now.
But it was Cat. We're having fun, girl. We're having fun. Was it polished? Absolutely not. But we're having fun. And
Did it have a concept? Absolutely not.
Were you meant to understand it? No. Did it work? Yes. Well,
it was the vibe and energy, and that's what I love about
you. They were screaming for it, weren't they?
I think...
I wanted the shock value, but I wasn't thinking about the actual concept and stuff. Yeah.
So, in the context of, that's the context that everyone had.
Yeah.
So you can imagine our expectations were so low.
You bitch.
Sorry, but that's the thing. A huge compliment to you being it was you had some great concept. You did have great concepts and numbers. It was your spoken word brand power, fucking
yeah.
And that costume change into our spokesperson, Christina Aguilera, and it was just one fell swoop of dress, wig.
Well, my mum into Christina Aguilera and just yeah.
Because what was the product again? It was
Skye Scraper's Fabulous Fiber Darlings.
That's right, darlings.
Because darlings is in the title.
Yeah.
So you could say Skye Scraper's Fabulous Fiber Darlings, if you wanted to. And it was the secret to being able to do under 7 minutes.
Yes.
Now it contained 3 crucial ingredients: psyllium husks, tramadol, and the semen of a righteous man. And darling, if you're taking that daily, I don't know how you wouldn't be able to do that in 7 minutes.
just reciting the product to me.
Yeah, girl. But Christina Aguilera had a great time, and honestly,
yeah, it looked like she did.
She really did, honey. She did. And if you can't do under 7 minutes, it's probably time to reschedule.
Yes. What was so exciting about the competition, because we have Mary Lamb just over here as well, that it was refreshing to see the top performers of the competition be so different and conceptual and not so much playing by the usual rules that are played. So every single week we're watching on it was really everyone's own interpretation of the categories and the challenge.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you'd be Christina Aguilera shitting her brains out?
Good girl. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that Bjork So Quiet would have a gorilla in it?
That's it. Yeah. The poor gorilla did die in the end, but it was fabulous gorilla.
Do you have any favourite numbers from that competition?
Yeah, Bjork was a huge favourite. I think my Kim Possible theme of Kim Possible.
Oh my god, yes! She's a dancer.
Apparently, yeah, girl. I mean, imagine just a 2-hour rehearsal what that can do to a
Yeah.
2.5 minute number. I mean, for the longest time, I've wanted to really incorporate like edits into my numbers, but I just never sat down and actually taught myself how to edit music, kind of thing. So for the competition, I had a lot of numbers that I'd recorded stuff myself and then edited myself, but also for other numbers, I did get some individuals to help me with some of the edits. But for when I planned the 4-week competition, I didn't want to do one genre twice because I think my strength is power ballads or belts.
Yeah.
And I started with Rose's Turn for the musical Gypsy, and I wanted to finish with something a power ballad and belty. And I was like, you know what? Let's do something modern day and different because I want to show a bit of variety. Because I was like, goal to do well, obviously, but I also want to get booked out of this. I want to show people like the level of drag that I've elevated myself to.
Yeah, and I think it's shown that it felt very curated and very...
Thank you.
Your viewpoint was very strong and clear. That's why I could see your staple or thread through every number. Whether it was like, okay, I'm going to do a very top 40 commercial number that is going to be booked for something that's not too in-jokey with the usual gay crowd.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas there were numbers that kind of balanced between the two. And then there were like numbers that were just for us.
Oh, darling, just
Which,
for girls.
you know, darling.
Oh, darling.
Do you think that confidence can be faked on stage?
I think 90% of everyone's confidence is fake. I mean, look at every confident person, look at every successful person, and it's hard to find one that does not have insecurities, that hasn't gotten them to that place because they have something hectic or troubling going on with their life. Like, if you look at queer people in general, we grew up gay in a straight man's world, our lives was drenched in shame. And as a repellent on that, we focused not on perhaps relationships or trying to fit in. We focused a lot of our energy into proving ourselves in other ways. That's why there's so many incredible queer composers and queer artists, because we really when we set our minds to something, we really want to accomplish that in compensation for the trauma that we've had in our past. And that's just, that is the queer narrative. You know, we are brilliant at certain things because we have that trauma. And so, honestly, for me, like, when I bounce out and I'm confident, because it is compensating for these insecurities around, like, I just want people to love me. And I know people will like me if I'm confident, but I'm not really sure if they do actually like me because, you know, but as long as everyone's smiling at the end of the conversation, we're fine. You know? Don't give them what they want, give them what they need. They don't know what they need, you know what they need. Go on.
Now, your day persona...
Yeah. So,
your day persona to your drag persona is
look, it's interesting.
Contrasting.
Contrasting.
Conflicting, even.
Well, yes. Well, I'm a chartered accountant by trade. I work in philanthropy, so I work for an organisation that tries to do good in the world. I would say, you know, who I am at work is a deliberately constructed character. No one likes the accountants at work. Because the accountants are asking people to do things. Fill in your timesheet, give us this expense report, give us this, that and the other, telling you your numbers are down, you need to increase your numbers. To make that more palatable, I'm a friendly guy at work who's asking people about how their kids are going, this, that and the other. Perhaps I'm presenting a character at work that's equally as much of a character that I'm presenting on stage. You know?
Yeah.
I've really had to, in some circumstances, put on more of a character to navigate through situations that get a little bit tricky and a little bit hairy. Especially being a queer person in the workplace, there's a bit of insecurity around actually being myself and being the queer person that everyone wants me to be. Being everyone's happy gay friend kind of thing. Yeah. And that's a little bit challenging, and that's still something I'm working on. Traditionally, in the corporate setting, queer people haven't necessarily been accepted. Well, hell, if you weren't a straight white man, you weren't accepted. Yeah. If you weren't one of the boys, you weren't getting a promotion. You weren't on top of the game. You could sit there and do your job, but you weren't being favoured and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So very much being in the minority that we're in, it's tough, and people aren't looking at you favourably. Contrast that to what we do on stage, you know, when we get out there and have a good time. I would say, yeah, equally perhaps as much of a character, but they're two very different characters, you know. Because
do you think, like, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, the skills that you would have learnt in adapting the character and how you navigate with people in the corporate sector scene, scene or sector.
Darling,
Corporate scene. Corporate scene's a bit too gay. Sector.
The sector.
Sector's more like
The
it.
Dow Jones.
Are there any skills in that world that you've adapted into your drag that you think could be an advantage to other drag performers?
Yeah. Look, I think discipline is a huge one. Being able to sit down and concentrate for 8 hours a day on tasks, huge. Being able to communicate effectively with people that you do not like, huge. Being able to work in a team is a skill to learn. People think, oh yeah, teamwork easy. It's not. Because when I started working professionally, I was like, well, I know I'm right. So I just need to convince everyone else that what I'm right is right. It's not about that. Even though I come into things with so much confidence and I think I know what's best, even if it may be what's best, it's about coming to the table, collaborating, hearing each other's ideas, actually listening to people, and then understanding what they want, what they need, and working from there. And that is so relevant in producing shows, in just like even doing group numbers and stuff. And a lot of that can't be fake. Like you can't put a character on to be a team player. You genuinely need to be a team player.
Yeah.
There's so much that requires you to be actually not a nice person, but a good person. Because nice is different to good. You can be a mean person and be a great team player. You can be a mean person and be really effective and productive.
One thing I learnt doing the Rocky Horror Tour is there's a time and a place for the Kiki and the character.
Yes.
And the ego. You just got to put that aside and have moments of like, okay, everyone has a role. Everyone needs to play to those roles, whether it's cast member, crew member, director, stage manager, whatever. Like everyone, it's not a personal thing. Anything to do with just getting the job done.
Absolutely.
So that everything else kind of falls into place later, and then we can kiki after when the show's amazing.
That's it. And collaborating and working with people in the creative space, you need to be able to put as many ideas out there and be happy with 99 of them being rejected.
Yeah.
Because it takes 100 shit ideas to get a good one through the door. And you need to be able to be vulnerable, present what you've got to present, receive criticisms, and then be able to take that on board without your ego so you can actually process and develop from those improvements.
Yeah. So very exciting. You're actually getting into creating your first solo show.
I am. I'm so
So
excited
you're incorporating the corporate
Yes. With drag.
the drag.
Darling, it's called Skye Scraper, The Life and Times of a Drag Queen Accountant. And
Riveting.
it's the story, right, darling, it actually is quite camp, or what was I saying? I started drag and accounting at the same time. And it's just a fun and silly story about how I started out being quite a shitty drag queen and quite a shitty accountant. And having to learn how to handle both of those things. And as we spoke about earlier, I'm almost presenting a character when I go into work because I need to get the most out of my day. So I've designed this version of John who works best in the accounting corporate world. And then in the drag world, I've designed, Skye Scraper is a character. She's a product of my design. And I bring her out when she needs to come out. At the end of the day, when I'm so busy running from my day job to I teach accounting as well, an accounting class, to then a gig, to a rehearsal, I don't know how to actually be John. I don't know how to be my authentic self because so much of my life is consumed by these characters I've created and this journey to authenticity and unapologetic authenticity. Especially I'm at a boy at a party and he seemed quite interested in me, but I didn't really know how to interact. I'm like, am I the accounting John? Am I the drag John? Or can the real John Hugo please stand up? It was tough, girl. And I think as drag artists, our characters are versions of ourselves, and we construct them, but we can get so lost in them. And sometimes getting lost is blissful, and we want to escape in them and find ourselves at the other end somewhere. But for me personally, I need that separation.
Yeah, the social front. Because then you start to notice, I have a social front when I'm with my drag friends. I have a social front when I'm with these people who aren't in the drag scene at all. I have a social front when I'm at work.
Yes.
And then it's the moment where those different groups are in the same room.
Chaos love.
And then you're afraid of if you're too much of this social front, then it's going to conflict with that one. And then no one knows who the fuck you are.
The cross-identity shame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because around the girls, we talk about this, that, and the other. But then if my work colleagues, come to my show and I've got the girls and everyone say, oh, Skye, you this, that, and the other, And I'm like,
And this is and this is the thing about your, you know, when I say the Skye Scraper persona to your corporate persona,
yeah,
like Skye Scraper
is a dirty girl.
is a dirty little dick pig.
She's a cultivated Australian, but she's a dirty girl. But there are just some things that are inappropriate to say in the workplace. And that is basically everything that I say on stage.
And Snapchat.
Yes.
Make sure you're following Snapchat Skye Scraper.
At John Old Melon.
It's not even Skye's name, it's John's.
Because I started in 2009.
Oh no, so it's a third persona, your Snapchat persona.
My Snapchat persona. Oh, no, I can't post stories anymore, darling. They become too incriminating, girl.
I can't remember what it was, but it was just you. Darling, oh, I just did girly poo, darling. darling, look at this poo, darling. And then you're like showing, you literally grab the phone on your Snapchat and you're like showing the bowl. And it was like a Nike tick. Like, darling, oh, I just did a girly poo, darling.
This particular one was an after grog bog.
A what?
An after grog bog, you know?
No.
Grog being alcohol and after alcohol poo. And, you know, as they usually are, they're black and they fill the bowl. Is that what your experience is? And like,
And after grog bog,
you just sort of smell that meat box from the night before. You're like,
No.
There she is. There's that garlic sauce. There's that vodka lemon soda.
You're fucked.
Oh, look, what is said on a deleting video message sometimes should stay on a deleting video message.
So, when's your show?
Darling, Skye Scraper, the life and times of a drag queen accountant, can be viewed at Fringe World in the Perth Cultural Centre. The Little Palais starts on the 20th of January, the same time as our gorgeous Messy Friends start, but my show's at 8 o'clock.
Oh, beautiful. Come,
get a giggle in, take a bottle of wine with the show, love. That's absolutely fine. You know, it just runs for 45 minutes, so, you know, probably start 5 minutes late, finish 10 minutes early. Get some photos afterwards, and then, you know, we'll just march over to Messy Friends together. Families should come to this show. I think it's a story about identity and self-authenticity. I think people in the corporate world would love to come to this show. If you're a little bit tapped, if you're a little bit girly, and, you know, love the drag scene, you should also come to the show, because there's plenty of Skye Scraper originals in there. So. A lot of fun moments.
So theatre, lip syncing, bit of both.
It's lip syncing and it's storytelling.
Beautiful.
Through some spoken words. Sketch, comedy in there as well. Mm-hmm. Just me. I'm the only person on stage. The stage manager might come out to take props on and off. It's just me.
Yes.
45 minutes of Skye. And there will not be more than one belting ballad. Yeah,
Good.
Just one girl. You'll just get one.
And I'm guessing it's Adele.
No, it's currently undecided.
Undecided. Oh, okay. Surprise.
Yeah, come and see.
So I have one more question.
Darling.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Okay, so I have thought about this, and I will be 37 at that point. So around that point in time, I want to start distilling gin.
Ooh.
And the brand name will be called Tin and Jonic.
Yes.
Yep.
So I had to like, okay.
Tins of G&T. It's going to be quite girly. Anyhow, as a side, because it's always going to be a side project, darling. But I would love to, in the drag space, come to Perth once in a while, but I would love to be based internationally. Yeah. I would love to still be performing and be in performance space. I would love to more take on the role of hosting larger shows, putting this personality in that space, and then also a bit of just production design work in terms of the back end side of things. Like, I'd love to start my own production company, putting some worthy shows on tour, perhaps providing some funding and just getting girls around there.
Awesome.
Getting that corporate side of things mixed with the creativity.
Yeah. Because I will say, just to finish off, I'm so glad that you came back. and came back very, very strong. You haven't, like, and the exciting thing is that you hadn't lost the girl who was in the black and gold, like, jumpsuit.
Yeah.
She's still kind of there, but like you said, just a bit more polish and,
more
like,
deliberate.
aspirations and ambitions, and I'm just like, fuck yeah, like,
A little bit more drive, darling.
yeah.
Put the foot down this time. Well, it's so good to be back.
Yeah.
It's so great to be surrounded by such a supporting and fostering community.
Yeah, let's make some magic.
Let's make some magic, Diva. Let's go. Well, thank you for having me.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Of course, anytime, darling.
Thanks.
Call me, beat me if you want to reach me.
GINAVA'S Messy Friends is a Gendermess production. Artwork designed by Paper Wombat, and the theme song is Bumblebee by Bloodnose. If you want to know more about the podcast, or find out when Gendermess Productions are doing another live show, then you can find us on our website, gendermess.com, or Instagram @gendermess.
Yeah, I feel good.
Okay, and we'll end it there. Oh my god, wait. Was it still recording? Oh my god, I swear to god.
Don't you dare.
That was.